Welcome to Delta History, where the battlefield comes alive and truth cuts through the fog of war. Today, we journey into one of the most electrifying sniper stories of the war in Ukraine, a moment when skill, patience, and precision froze an entire Russian unit in place. It was a moment when a group known as the Ghosts of Bakhmut struck fear into their enemy from a distance almost beyond imagination, 2.68 kilometers. Yet this is not merely the account of a single long-range shot. This is the story of the men behind the rifles, the battlefield that shaped them, and the deadly chess game played in the ruins of a city fought over inch by inch. Bakhmut before the war. Before the war, Bakhmut was an unremarkable industrial city in the Donetsk region. Its streets bustled with the hum of factory workers heading to shifts. Children walked to school with backpacks bouncing against their shoulders. In the mornings, vendors at the market called out prices for bread, vegetables, and sunflower oil. Today, those same streets are cracked and burned. Life has been replaced by silence, broken only by the rhythm of war, the deep rumble of tanks like distant thunder across the plains, the sharp crack of rifle fire ricocheting off hollow concrete walls, and the bone-shaking crash of artillery tearing apart what little remains standing. The front line moves with agonizing slowness. Sometimes it creeps forward only a few meters in a day, only to fall back again under heavy losses. This is not a war of sweeping maneuvers across a map. It is a war of hard-fought corners, stairwells, and shattered windows, each position paid for with blood. A sniper's paradox. For a sniper, Bakhmut is a paradox. Beyond the city's edge, open fields and long stretches of highway stretch sight lines for kilometers, a gift and a curse for marksmen. Extreme distance engagements are possible, but they also make you a target. Within the city, the landscape has collapsed into a labyrinth. Narrow corridors half-blocked by rubble, staircases sheared in half by blasts, jagged walls with gaping holes that grant only the briefest view of a target before it slips back into shadow. In such a place, patience is not just a virtue, it is survival. The Ghosts of Bakhmut. The Ghosts of Bakhmut are not a regiment with ceremonial banners or polished boots. They are a loose brotherhood of Ukrainian snipers, some drawn from special forces units, others trained in the country's most elite sniper schools. Their names never appear in official communiques, their faces never shown in the media. Yet their reputation moves ahead of them like a phantom wind. Among Russian soldiers, stories circulate in hushed tones of invisible hunters who can make an entire squad vanish in moments. The ghosts do not simply hide, they haunt. They move like whispers across the front. One day they eliminate an artillery spotter before he can pass coordinates. The next, they drop a machine gunner mid-burst. The day after that, a commander falls mid-sentence while issuing orders. Their work is never random. Every shot is deliberate, the product of hours, sometimes days, of silent observation. The shot. One bitter morning, frost clung to the twisted skeleton of an industrial complex. Far across a stretch of shattered ground, a Russian unit set up a defensive position. They felt safe, well beyond the reach of assault rifles or standard machine guns. Surrounded by rubble and skeletal buildings, they believed distance alone would protect them. That day, the Ghosts carried a weapon designed to shatter that illusion, an ultra-long-range 50-caliber sniper rifle. Its optics had been tuned with painstaking care. Its heavy barrel could send a round with devastating power across distances most soldiers would call impossible. From deep within a camouflaged firing nest, the sniper and his spotter began their ritual. They read the lazy drift of smoke above the ruins to gauge the wind. They felt the sting of cold in the steel, the frost in their breath. They calculated the bullet's drop for 2.68 kilometers, so far that even the curvature of the earth would slightly alter its path. Air temperature, humidity, the faint shimmer of heat rising from the ground, all were factored in. They knew the round would take nearly 4 full seconds to arrive. First the warning, then the kill. The first shot was not meant to kill. It was a ranging shot, striking the dirt just meters from the Russian position. A silent message in the frozen air. We see you. The second shot was final. A single controlled squeeze of the trigger sent the 50 caliber round on a long, silent arc, through the cold morning sky. 4 seconds later, it struck the machine gunner square in the chest. He fell without a sound. Panic erupted. Russian soldiers scrambled for cover, their movements jerky and desperate. Every attempt to return fire was answered with another crisp, controlled shot. The invisible grip of fear. That day, the ghosts claimed far more than lives. They claimed the battlefield itself. Control, momentum, initiative. All of it vanished into the icy air, stolen in silence. For hours, not a single Russian soldier dared to move without gambling with death. The ground itself seemed cursed. Every patch of rubble might conceal a scope. Every shadow stretched long and menacing, as if hiding the outline of a prone figure. Every flicker of sunlight off twisted metal was imagined to be the cold reflection of a sniper's lens. A sniper's bullet does not simply pierce flesh, it punctures morale. Under the unwavering gaze of an unseen marksman, time becomes elastic, distorted beyond reason. Seconds crawl, minutes stretch into hours. Hunger grows sharper, gnawing at the gut. Thirst becomes an ache that cracks the lips and dries the tongue. Minds wander to thoughts of home, of safety, only to be dragged back by the sharp, cold thought that death could come at any moment. In that pressure cooker of fear, discipline falters. Radio calls grew clipped, hesitant, then erratic. Voices, once steady, began to rise in pitch, betraying the panic beneath the surface. Some begged for artillery strikes to sweep the invisible predators from the ruins. Others demanded armored vehicles to charge forward and break the spell. But every commander knew the truth. Reinforcements would only feed more lives into the same silent grinder. And in Bakhmut, momentum is as valuable as territory. That morning, the ghosts stole both. No attacks were launched, no supplies pushed forward, no artillery coordinates traveled up the chain of command. The sector became a still life of war, frozen, paralyzed, and utterly dominated. Hours slipped away, nerves frayed into threads, and what confidence the soldiers had carried into the field dissolved into the bitter cold. The legacy of a single shot. The after-action report from Ukrainian command would immortalize this moment. The 2.68-kilometer shot was not just a remarkable display of marksmanship, it became a lesson for sniper teams across the country. It proved that with skill, patience, discipline, and the right tools, a handful of determined men could halt a force many times their size without expending more than a few rounds. When the day's light began to fade, the ghosts of Bakhmut vanished as they had arrived, unseen, unheard, untraceable. They left nothing behind but the small, cold glint of empty brass casings pressed into the dirt, and an unshakable memory burned into the minds of their enemy. Distance is no safety from a patient hunter. These men will never stand before television cameras. They will never wave from parade floats or receive thunderous applause in city squares. Their names will not be etched on monuments for the public to see, but their work will echo louder than medals. It will live in the hesitant step of an enemy soldier crossing open ground, in the cautious glance cast toward a distant ridge, in the whispered stories passed around campfires about ghosts who strike without warning and vanish without a trace. History is not written solely by those who march across the battlefield in plain sight. It is also written by those who wait in the shadows, motionless, silent, watching, calculating, until the perfect moment arrives. You've been watching Delta History, where the battlefield speaks, and we bring you the untold stories that shape our world. If you want to walk the ruined streets, hear the whispers of the front lines, and stand in the shadow of the scope to feel the weight of history as it happens, subscribe to Delta History and turn on notifications so you never miss the next journey. From the forests of the Donbass to the skies above the Black Sea, from the thunder of tanks to the breathless pause before a sniper's shot. Share this story so the deeds of those who work in the shadows are not lost in the noise of war. Because history only remembers what we choose to tell. This is Delta History, and the next story is already waiting.